Chris Martin called, they said. Who? I asked, recalling Bob Crosby and the Bobcats. At the time, you weren't a fan of Coldplay. Dick Van DJK, 99, has accomplished everything. He has performed on roofs, told jokes that have lit up living rooms for centuries, and won audiences over with his wit and vintage enthusiasm. However, he revealed something that left everyone stunned, just when they thought they understood the man beneath the smile. Van Dyke recently talked about a personal area of his life in a private time of introspection. It was neither scandal nor stardom. It was something he held close to his heart and had endured in silence. And he hadn't shared it with anyone else for nearly a century. And even though he didn't say it for show or attention, his words made everyone wonder, to whom was he referring? Early years and professional life. On December 13, 1925, Dick Van Dyke was born in West Plains, Missouri, a tiny town. His father, Lauren, was a salesperson, while his mother, Hazel, worked as a stenographer. Dick was raised in Danville, Illinois, alongside his younger brother Jerry, who went on to pursue a career in acting, and even appeared alongside Dick on the Dick Van Dyke program. Jerry's genealogy can be traced back to John Alden, a Mayflower passenger. Dutch, English, Irish, and Scottish ancestry are all mixed together in Van Dyke's family tree. Dick became interested in acting in high school by participating in theater club and choir. He had thought about becoming a minister, but he fell in love with the stage. After being rejected several times for being too thin, he eventually became a radio announcer and performed with troops after leaving school early to serve in the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. It was about 60 years until he eventually received his high school diploma in 2004. Dick started out as a radio disc jockey in the late 1940s before going on to start a mime act with Phil Erickson. In addition to touring nightclubs, their performance, Eric and Van, the Merry Mutes, was featured on Atlanta television. Dick then made the switch to television, working on both network and local shows. He was introduced to a 7-year spell at CBS by an Army comrade, which ultimately led to more expansive opportunities, such as co-hosting the CBS Morning Show with Walter Cronkite. He made his Broadway debut in 1959 and went on to win a Tony Award for the popular musical Bye Bye Birdie. This resulted in his famous Rob Petrie character on The Dick Van Dyke Show, 1961-1966, which Carl Reiner created. Dick's endearing silliness and perfect comedic timing were praised by the audience. He played the endearing chimney sweep, Bert in Mary Poppins, 1964, which was his next big role. Dick's performance enchanted audiences worldwide, and the film itself was a masterpiece, despite the widespread demonization of his British accent. Dick Van Dyke continued to work on new projects after Diagnosis Murder ended. He once more collaborated with his old co-star Mary Tyler Moore in 2003 for a critically acclaimed television version of The Gin Game. He also had an appearance on the sitcom Scrubs that year as a doctor. The first new episode of Dick Van Dyke's show in nearly 40 years, Revisited, was also keenly awaited by fans in 2003. Despite being nominated for an Emmy, the original cast reunion did not excite the critics. Van Dyke starred as Professor Jonathan Maxwell in the Hallmark Channel mystery series, Murder 101 in 2006. He played the villain Seal in Night at the Museum, and Mr. Bloomsbury in Curious George later that year. Though it was limited to the DVD extras, he also made a cameo in the second movie, Battle of the Smithsonian 2009. Then, in 2014, he returned in the third installment, Secret of the Tomb. Van Dyke investigated music as well. He collaborated with Red Hot Chili Peppers member Chad Smith on a children's CD in 2010, even contributing rap to one of the songs. Step Back in Time, a jazz and big band CD with timeless tunes, was released by him in 2017. He also performed We're Going Caroling, a Christmas duet with Jane Lynch. He returned to the role in Mary Poppins in 2018. However, this time he played Mr. In Mary Poppins Returns, Dawes Jr. When creating WandaVision, Marvel producers even asked for his input. In 2023, Van Dyke surprised viewers by playing Gnome on The Masked Singer at the age of 97. He was the oldest competitor in history. After that, he made an appearance on Days of Our Lives, and a CBS special commemorated his 98th birthday. He appeared in Coldplay's All My Love music video in 2024, which was co-produced with his wife, Arlene Silver. In addition to being a well-liked performer, Dick Van Dyke is a legendary figure who has garnered numerous accolades for his extraordinary talent. He has earned some of the most prestigious awards in show business over the course of his career, and each one is evidence of the enduring legacy he has left for entertainment. His triumphant performance in Bye Bye Birdie earned him a Tony Award in 1961 for Best Featured Actor in a Musical. He won a Grammy Award for Best Children's Record 4 years later, in 1964 for the film Mary Poppins, which has captivated audiences for generations. Regarding television, Van Dyke has received 4 of his 10 nominations for Primetime Emmy Awards, mostly for his renowned work on The Dick Van Dyke Show and his variety show Van Dyke and Company. But that's not the end. In 1998, he was admitted as a Disney legend, and in 2024, following Glennis John's passing, he became the oldest Disney legend still alive. In 2013, the Screen Actors Guild presented him with the Life Achievement Award. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Steve Martin, and Julie Andrews were among the performers who paid their respects to him at the Kennedy Center. Honors later in 2021, to songs like Jolly Holiday, Step in Time, and Put on a Happy Face, which were all dedicated to him. Singers sung and dancers performed. Van Dyke is still making history at the age of 99. He became the oldest person to ever win, or even be nominated for a Daytime Emmy in 2024, when he won one for Days of Our Lives. Dick's private life. Dick Van Dyke has experienced highs and lows, heartbreak and love, and strength in his own life. He married Marjorie Willett on the Bride and Groom radio show in 1948. Together, Christian, Barry, Stacy, and Carrie Beth were the couple's 4 children. But following years of separation, the pair eventually got divorced in 1984. Later on, Van Dyke said that his affair with actress Michelle Triola Marvin in 1976 caused him to feel a great deal of shame and had a part in the marriage's dissolution. Before she passed away in 2009, Michelle and Dick lived together for over 30 years. Van Dyke fell in love once more in 2012, at the age of 86. He married 46-year-old makeup artist Arlene Silver. They had first met at the SAG Awards 6 years before, and their bond grew closer every year. Van Dyke frequently included members of his own family in his TV programs. Diagnosis: Murder featured appearances by his son Barry, as well as his grandsons Shane and Carrie. In all, he has 7 grandchildren. In 1987, at the age of 10, one of his grandchildren, Jessica, passed away with Rehea syndrome. That setback led Van Dyke to advocate against giving youngsters aspirin. In addition to performing, he continued to be devoutly pious, reading spiritual authors like Bonhoeffer and Titch, and teaching Sunday school. At the age of 87, he narrowly avoided a horrific incident in 2013 when his car caught fire on a California freeway. Thankfully, he received assistance from a nice Samaritan and was unharmed. Van Dyke has been active and opinionated in politics. In both the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections, he cast his ballot for Bernie Sanders. He backed Kamala Harris in 2024. He had to leave his Malibu house twice that year due to wildfires in California. At one point, neighbors had to carry him to safety because he was too weak to walk. Thankfully, his home survived the fires. Through it all, Van Dyke has stayed resilient, committed, and energetic. It was Danville High School that foresaw Dick Van Dyke's rise to fame. Dick Van DJK, being a young man, made a crucial decision in 1944 that would shape his career. He chose to leave school early as a senior at Danville High School in Illinois in order to join the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. Van Dyke spent his time at Danville High actively involved in the dramatic club and a cappella choir, which sparked his interest in performing. Despite his departure, the newspaper in Danville printed a heartfelt farewell, which read, "Danville High School wishes you the best of luck, Dick Van DJK, and hopes your post-war career will see you right at the top of the entertainment world." After returning from the military, he settled in Danville and began working as a radio disc jockey, which led to an amazing career in entertainment. In an act that acknowledged both his early departure and his prosperous career, Van Dyke returned to Danville High School in 2004 to receive his high school diploma. The performance demonstrated the close bond between Van Dyke and his community, which saw his talent at a young age and has always been proud of his achievements. The report from Danville High School demonstrates how an early boost can result in significant success, and is proof of Van Dyke's ability and community support. Age difference with the second wife. The public debated the 46-year age difference between the iconic entertainer Dick Van Dyke, best known for his roles in Mary Poppins, and The Dick Van Dyke Show, and cosmetics artist, Arlene Silver, when they married in 2012. Silver was 40 years old, and Van Dyke was 86. Their marriage has flourished ever since, despite all the doubts that have been expressed about it. Silver was a cosmetics artist when they first met in 2006 at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. She went by and I sprang up and said, "Hi, I'm Dick," recalls Van Dyke, who recalled how she immediately captured his attention. She was half my age, and I was unaware of it. Taking up the topic of their age difference, Van Dyke remarked, "Everyone said it wouldn't work, but underlined the depth of their relationship by adding, 'We get along so well.' Their friendship turned into a romance, and 6 years later, they were married." According to Silver, who agreed with this viewpoint, people the same age don't last. She added that their relationship is organic, and that the age gap is completely unimportant. Their enduring partnership has been built on their mutual respect and shared interests. Van Dyke has benefited from Silver's encouragement and support, which has kept him engaged and active. Silver has been inspired by Van Dyke's positivism and sense of humor. "He makes everyone around him more joyful and playful," she said, referring to him as the most joyful guy. Van Dyke's continued vitality is evidence of the couple's intimate relationship, as evidenced by their public celebration of their love over the years, including a Valentine's Day dance in 2022. Their relationship serves as evidence that love overcomes all obstacles, and their tale of sobriety continues to inspire many. Dick Van Dyke has had his share of personal struggles, including a protracted fight with alcoholism. He battled his addiction in secret for years, until making the decision to get treatment in 1972. To undergo treatment, he checked himself into a hospital and stayed there for 3 weeks. Although it was obvious that the period would not be easy, Van Dyke came out stronger and has stayed sober ever since. For the majority of his adult life, he struggled with smoking in addition to alcohol. He smoked a pack a day for many years, just like many people his age. However, he left after realizing that it was harming his health. Van Dyke disclosed in a 2013 interview with the London Daily Telegraph that he has been using Nicorette gum to withstand cravings and abstain from smoking for over 10 years. Fans find him even more likable because of his candor about his addiction and his efforts to get well. Van Dyke has demonstrated that it's never too late to take care of your health, whether it was by going to rehab for alcohol or giving up smoking years later. His story serves as a reminder that even the biggest celebrities have health issues, and that recovery is always possible with support and encouragement. The medical riddle of Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke disclosed a strange and upsetting health issue that he has been dealing with for around 7 years back, in April of 2013. There was an intense thumping sensation at the back of his head whenever he tried to lie down. It wasn't a minor irritation. It was so bad that it kept him awake at night and left him exhausted all the time. To find out what was amiss, Van Dyke underwent a number of tests, but the physicians were unable to provide him a definitive diagnosis. For someone as busy and dedicated to his followers as Van Dyke, the lack of sleep and ongoing exhaustion forced him to postpone several public appearances. In May 2013, Van Dyke shared an update with his followers on Twitter. He suspected that the strange thudding sensation might be caused by the titanium dental implants in his mouth. Although it wasn't a diagnosis, it was the first possible clue in a protracted and discouraging medical mystery. Van Dyke remained open and upbeat throughout this difficult time, showing followers that even when life presents you with difficult or perplexing situations, you will overcome them if you continue to be curious and interact with people. A controversial Dick Van Dyke Show episode. The Dick Van Dyke Show received praise for its comedy and portrayal of an American family in the early 1960s. However, one particular event caused quite a stir. The scene, which was considered too explicit for television at the time, had a toddler inadvertently interrupting his parents as they were sharing a private moment. Because of the inappropriate content, CBS decided not to air the program. Carl Reiner, the show's creator, was extremely enraged by this decision. Reiner was offended by the network's censorship and felt that the program showed actual family life. Reiner nearly quit the show because he was so upset by the episode. Reiner felt that the network's decision was hypocritical, especially because other programs were already beginning to tackle more controversial topics. The conflicts that content producers faced when experimenting with television programming during that era were highlighted by Reiner's commitment to realistic storytelling and his indignation at CBS' decision. The incident highlights the conflict that existed in the early years of television between artistic independence and network standards. Despite the Dick Van Dyke Show's continued popularity, the episode is a well-known example of a dispute between broadcasters and content creators. Misconceptions regarding Mary Tyler Moore's relationship. From 1961 to 1966, Rob and Laura Petrie, the on-screen pair of Dick Van Dyke, and Mary Tyler Moore's The Dick Van Dyke Show, captivated viewers with their indisputable on-screen connection. Many admirers speculated that the two performers were in a romantic relationship in real life because of how convincing their performances were. In order to clarify the actual nature of their connection, Van Dyke and Moore have both refuted these claims. Van Dyke acknowledged having a crush on Moore in his autobiography, My Lucky Life in and Out of Show Business. He explained, "I finally asked a psychiatrist friend of mine about it. He said what was plainly clear. Dick, you've got a crush on her." I put my head in my hands and laughed. He recalled during the show's creation. Naturally, I did. Despite this, he maintained that their connection was solely professional. In interviews, Moore reaffirmed similar opinions. In retrospect, she remarked, "The wonderful thing is, we never had an affair. I always thought it was a terrible waste." This statement emphasized their deep love and respect for one another, which never led to a romantic relationship. Even Moore's subsequent work reflected the public's impression of their relationship. The Mary Tyler Moore Show's creators were concerned that by showing her character as divorced, viewers would assume she had split from Van Dyke's character. In order to avoid confusion, the show's makers chose to portray her as a single lady who had called off a lengthy engagement. Throughout their respective lifetimes, Van Dyke and Moore's enduring relationship remained evident. Following Moore's passing in 2017, Van Dyke paid heartfelt homage to her, and they collaborated on other projects, including a 2003 television adaptation of the Gin Game. Their friendship, which is founded on respect for one another and a common experience, demonstrates their professionalism and the long-lasting results of their collaboration. The Mary Poppins Cockney accent. In Disney's 1964, Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke's portrayal of Bert, the vivacious chimney sweep, is cherished for its charm and energy. However, his effort at a Cockney accent has drawn criticism for a long time. His accent was voted the second worst in cinema history by Empire magazine in 2003. After only Sean Connery's Irish accent from The Untouchables, Van Dyke has acknowledged that his accent has limitations. In jest, he attributed the issue to his dialect instructor, Irishman J. Pate O'Malley, who Van Dyke claimed was no more proficient at accents than I was. During filming, no one on the set, not even co-star Julie Andrews, voiced any criticism of the accent's flaws. When he collected the Britannia Award for Excellence in Television from the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in 2017, Van Dyke wrote all the criticism that had been directed at him over the years. For giving the British people the worst Cockney accent in movie history, he apologized on stage. Van Dyke's acting is still praised, and Mary Poppins remains a beloved film despite the controversies surrounding his accent. Despite his accent, his portrayal of Bert has made a lasting impression on film history. The event involving Piers Morgan. In December 2018, British television celebrity Piers Morgan made a controversial joke about TV legend Dick Van Dyke, who was 92 at the time. "Imagine being called Dick Van Dyke in this PC-addled age," Morgan remarked on Twitter. Van DJK, a veteran of shows including Mary Poppins and The Dick Van Dyke Show, simply retweeted with a neat yet composed graphic. The poor guy will have to rechristen himself as Richard Van Non-Binary Gender Fluid. He posted a screen grab of his character from Diagnosis, Murder, who is seen with a doubtful expression that conveys his disdain without using words. On social media, the exchange received a lot of attention. Many praised Van Dyke for his graceful and clever reply, which many interpreted as a covert criticism of Morgan's comedy. The discussion sparked discussions about the boundaries of humor and the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their backgrounds or names. This episode demonstrated Van Dyke's enduring sense of humor and his ability to deal tactfully with insensitivity. It also helped draw attention to the broader discussion of the significance of empathy in public discourse and the evolving norms of humor. Political support. The well-known performer from Mary Poppins and host of The Dick Van Dyke Show, Dick Van Dyke, has always supported liberal causes. His political backing, particularly for Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, has sparked discussion and controversy, demonstrating his commitment to equity and social justice. "I'm Dick Van Dyke, and I'm a very enthusiastic supporter of Bernie Sanders," he declared in a 2020 campaign video, expressing his adoration for the candidate. In response to the age question, Van Dyke said, "I know that I'm 20 years older than Bernie. I have all my marbles. I could run for office if I wanted to, so I don't think age. It really doesn't matter except for his experience and the years he's put in." He also brought his enduring charisma and dedication to the senator's cause to a rally in Los Angeles, where he sang a rendition of "We Love You, Bernie" to the crowd. In a black and white video, Van Dyke recalled standing with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1964, reading a special message from Rod Serling that emphasized sentiments against prejudice, hate, and unfairness. In 2024, he made one of the few appearances on social media to support Kamala Harris for president. He also called for friendship and decency. Van Dyke's endorsements have drawn both praise and criticism. While his supporters applaud his willingness to express their opinions on important issues, others criticize him for celebrity meddling in politics. He concluded with a call to vote, citing Rod Serling and Horace Mann, and emphasized the importance of religion and humanity, and the opposition to necessary evil. Dick Van Dyke and Carl Reiner were close friends, who knew each other for decades, and Van Dyke is still a prominent figure in entertainment and political activism. Despite this, Van Dyke's advocacy is a reflection of his long-standing conviction towards social justice and equality, as he continues to use his platform to advocate for causes that he cares about. Beginning with their collaboration on The Dick Van Dyke Show, their friendship grew beyond their professional relationship and evolved into a profound platonic love that Van Dyke has publicly acknowledged. In various interviews, Van Dyke expressed his admiration and respect for Reiner, stating, "Carl was the greatest single male performing talent working today. He's so good it's sickening to us actors who watch him work every day." This demonstrates how much Van Dyke loved and respected Reiner. After Reiner passed away in 2020, Van Dyke remained committed to honoring his friend, calling Reiner his idol, in a tribute that highlighted the significant impact Reiner had on his life and career. Their bond is a prime example of romantic friendship, a profound non-sexual affection between people, which challenges conventional ideas of male relationships by highlighting the value of emotional intimacy and vulnerability. Van Dyke's heartfelt words express the strength of their friendship and the loss left by Reiner's passing. Their union is a testament to the strength of platonic love and the enduring effect of true human connection. The public has responded positively to Van Dyke's declarations of love for Reiner, with many praising the sincerity and profundity of their friendship. For a deeper look at their relationship, watch CBS's tribute to Carl Reiner with remembrances from Van Dyke and other contemporaries. Ultimately, Dick Van Dyke's story is about more than just a lengthy career in Hollywood. It's about love, friendship, and the courage to speak your truth. Even after nearly a century of life, the enduring friendship between him and Carl Reiner is a shining example of genuine affection and respect in an industry too often characterized by shallow relationships. It serves as a reminder that there are many types of love that are worthy of being honored when someone like Van Dyke, who has always been known for his humor and lightheartedness, shares about a strong emotional bond with a friend like Carl Reiner. What makes this moment so potent isn't just what Van Dyke said, but also when and how he said it. He didn't hold back at 99 years old, reflecting on a lifetime of memories, laughter, and late-night talks, and realizing that what he and Reiner had in common was uncommon. It wasn't about labels or fitting into social norms, but rather about respect, trust, and a relationship that endured. Van Dyke's confession is both refreshing and inspirational. In a world where men are frequently discouraged from displaying deep emotion or vulnerability, he is demonstrating that it is acceptable, even crucial for men to talk about the people they love, the people who shaped them, and the friendships that meant the world to them. Fans have always appreciated Van Dyke's dancing, acting, and humor, but now we see another side of him, a man who isn't afraid to think about love in all its manifestations. His candor encourages more discussions about emotional intimacy, particularly between men, and serves as a reminder that some relationships are more than just words. Do not forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this heartfelt journey through Dick Van Dyke's incredible life and his emotional tribute to a friendship that endured. If you want more stories like this, full of Hollywood legends, untold truths, and inspirational moments, be sure to hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Van Dyke continues to teach us what it means to live with heart. We appreciate your time and hope to see you at the next one.